Today on the show, I'm going to take you to Times Square. Times Square is a major commercial intersection located in Midtown Manhattan. It goes from 42nd Street to West 47th Street. It is one of the busiest pedestrian sections in the world, at the hub of Broadway in the Theater District. Times Square was formerly known as Longacre Square. The name originated from Longacre Square in London. In 1872, the area had become the center of New York's carriage industry. William Henry Vanderbilt owned and ran the American Horse Exchange. He did it until the turn of the 20th century. Here are some fun facts about Times Square. Between 1910 and 1920, Times Square was known as the Tenderloin because it was the most desired area in all of Manhattan. Celebrities such as Irving Berlin, Charlie Chaplin, and Fred Astaire were associated with the area. As early as 1960, the New York Times described 42nd Street between 7th and 8th Avenues as the worst block in town. Even the movie Midnight Cowboy depicted that. In the 1980s, a commercial boom took place that improved the location by the 1990s. And at the end of 2013, the first phase of the Times Square pedestrian plaza at the southern end of the square was completed. Did you know that the very first ball that dropped in Times Square was in 1907? It replaced fireworks that were launched from a roof. Times Square is the second most visited tourist attraction behind the Las Vegas Strip. Did you know that 22 cents of each dollar spent by tourists in New York City is done in Times Square? There's a place in Times Square called TKTS where you can buy Broadway show tickets for half the price on the day of the show. The Times Square location is that of many movies such as Ghostbusters, Stephen King's The Stand, in 1998 Godzilla, Captain America, Vanilla Sky, and New Year's Eve. Did you know that Times Square is the only neighborhood with zoning ordinances requiring building owners to display illuminated signs? The neighborhood has a minimum limit for lighting instead of a standard maximum limit. I want to give you some of my thoughts of Times Square. Even though Times Square is very exciting with the theater, bright lights, and restaurants, such as Sardi's, there's a dark side to the place. The main complaint I have is that the characters who are dressed up as Minnie Mouse, Hello Kitty, Elvis, or even a guy who is dressed as a baby will walk up to tourists and ask them for money just to get a picture taken with them. What are you guys charging $10 for? Nothing?
Don't forget my tip.
There's also women who are dressed half naked. They only wear a thong and the top part of their body is covered with body paint. They will walk up to men and ask them for money to take a picture. With that said, I am giving Times Square 3 out of 4 paws. On my way back home from Times Square, I ran into a photography shoot. It was for a company called 9 West. 9 West was named after its founding location in the Solo Building at 9 West 57th Street in Manhattan. The fashion shoot was done using 2 models who were sporting clothes for the fall of 2015. There must have been about 9 people who were working on this. There's an awful lot of work that goes into making an ad for a magazine, and boy, I was tired after watching them work. Well, it's time to go home now. See you next time. Ciao.